Human beings are searching for the personal experience of reality. They are seeking to come to understand themselves, to find a reason for their own existence.
And so you go round and round and round, ever chasing the illusion that there is something outside yourself, outside your here and now, to be attained that will make things better.
No guru, no method, no teacher, and no nothing else either.
Welcome, fellow Phoenixes, to the Spiritual Phoenix Podcast, where we make a daily offering to the divine by putting our past on the pyre, searching the smoke for spirituality, turning the ashes into art, adapting isolation into connection, and manifesting mental wellness. I'm your host, Ross Cessna, and together we are the Spiritual Phoenix. The intent of this show isn't to tell you what to think, but to get you to think and to originally articulate yourself in a way that is uplifting. We are the artists of our lives, and today is a blank canvas. Let's collectively create a better tomorrow. And with that being said, let's take a moment and focus on what we're grateful for today. Today, I'm really grateful for just this growth that I've been going through, and it really has not been comfortable in lots of ways, but it's also showing me the strength that I have, allowing me to cultivate discipline, allowing me to practice patience, allowing me to cultivate an attitude of persistent action. And it's really showing me the character that I developed in the past 2 years. Now, with that being said, I'd like to get into today's topic, which is emotional eating in a sense. There'll be some other stuff that I kind of riff off of as well. But I've been on this diet kick since the end of August. August 28th, I started. And as of today, September 21st, I've lost 11 pounds, which I'm very, very happy about. And it's from having a calorie deficit in my diet, really eating more whole foods, not eating out as much, doing a more regular exercise practice, drinking water more frequently, all of that kind of stuff that everybody tells you that you should do to lose weight. Not a fancy diet, none of this other stuff, really just being more mindful in how I'm eating. And one of the things that I've really found is how much I was emotionally eating, I guess, how much I was eating to numb some of my feelings or out of boredom or whatever at times. And I don't think that a lot of people even necessarily recognize that. Like on the surface, we can kind of trick ourselves to say, oh, I was hungry or I need to eat. But I've noticed for myself, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who has experienced this when they've attempted a diet, the feeling that I get with this calorie deficit, it may feel like I'm hungry quite often. But what that actually is my metabolism kind of working. And through all the stress that I've been in my life and through the negative habits that I learned to cultivate, I equated almost the sense of bloating or being overstuffed with being full, rather than being comfortable with how I feel right now. Honestly, the way that my stomach feels 9 times out of 10 now almost kind of reminds me of anxiety in some ways. And it's not like a bad thing. It's just different, I guess. And that might not be exciting to some people or might be turn some people off. But I guess you'd really have to experience it with an open mind. Another thing for me that I really recognized about the concept of emotional eating really is I had a lot of fear about feeling how my stomach feels now. largely due to the fact that when I went manic, I didn't eat for large periods at a time. Like I wouldn't eat for several days at a time. And I almost had this fear space to where, without being on medication, or even when I was on medication, if I didn't eat whenever I felt like this, that I would I'd go crazy again. And that was a pretty terrifying feeling. And now that I've kind of established this foundation of recovery, and I've established these healthy habits and these good coping mechanisms to deal with stress more often than not, have a little bit more confidence that I can navigate through all of this. But it really goes to show you overall, like, I wonder if a large part of the reason why America is the most obese nation. I don't even know that it's one of them. I'm pretty sure it's the most obese nation in the world, is due to emotional eating and the poor ability to manage our emotions. And all of this stuff ties back into the concept of addiction, which is really what I have a lot of familiarity with, like looking at the habits that I've cut out in my life in the past 2 years, like getting off of the use of pot, alcohol, other substances, quitting cigarettes, stopping the use of mental health medication with my doctor's blessing, now changing how I eat, really being open to the concept that a lot of us are using all these various ways and means to escape having to sit with our emotions, and being somebody who's been mindful and has a level of self-awareness that many don't. I didn't even expect to see how much I was masking emotions through food. It was a big eye-opener. And I really wonder if there was better mental health education as a whole, as a nation, not just to treat extreme examples of conditions such as like bipolar disorder or stuff like that, but the ability to actually educate people on emotional intelligence, how that would reduce the rates of this kind of obesity and all this stuff. And I know you can fall into the conspiratorial lens, which even has evidence supporting the fact that people really don't want a nation of healthy, emotionally well-balanced, intelligent people, because they're less likely to be manipulated, blah, 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 blah. But I think that we have to remain hopeful that at some point can be a good space to be in, because the cost of education for all of this stuff, there's money to be made there, and it would save a lot of the preventative measures, which the preventative measures fall into the category, or prevention would prevent a lot of the consequences or effects of not doing it, but the effects is where all the money is. I just really am curious about it, and it really brings to mind like how much we all escape through stuff. Like you could be emotionally escaping through the internet, you could be emotionally escaping through work, you could be emotionally escaping through drugs, like all of these things. And it just shows me how few of us are actually in touch with our emotions. And I largely feel that mental illness overall is this conditioned response to not deal with our emotions. So it effectively creates this giant mess that we don't know how to pick it up. And until we start taking the action to pick up individual pieces and focusing on, like, just the analogy of cleaning up a room, like the corner of a room, we're not going to see any real progress. I heard somebody share once at a 12-step meeting that I was attending that picture that you're in your room. You can see my room behind me. Now picture that you took the time to take everything out of every drawer, everything off of every shelf, everything in your room and you threw it into one big pile, that wouldn't take nearly as much time to create the mess as it would to reorganize the mess and put it back together. And like looking at that, seeing where I'm at with everything now, I've been in recovery for 2 years and I'm dealing with a lot of stuff that I've dealt with for my whole life in some ways. I'm really facing a lot of the deep-seated issues that I've never really wanted to address before, didn't have the ability to address. And I don't have the safety nets. I shouldn't say safety nets. I don't have the means to escape like I did. So I don't know. It's just something to really consider. Like, what are the habits in your life that you're using to escape processing your emotions and healthily integrating your whole life experience? Like, where are you at with all of that in your life, I guess, is my question to you. If you like this podcast, please leave a review on iTunes. Please like the videos on YouTube if they resonate with you. Please purchase a tarot reading from oracle@mushin.com, although the store isn't up yet. Maybe by the time you hear this, it will be. I've been working my ass off on that. You can buy stuff from Spiritual Phoenix Studios at Spiritual Phoenix, or you can come out and see me in one of my shows, better yet. I have a lot of work to do to make, to offer more stuff to people, I guess. One of the things, I'm not even going to say it now until I can actually cultivate, until I can dedicate the time to it, because I have a lot of irons in the fire. Things are going to be changing for the better with all the work that I'm doing. I just have to make the conscious effort. And with that, I love, respect, and appreciate all of you. Peace.